balancing the needs of your business and your employees has never been more important. Do both with Concur Expense. Speed up your finance processes, ensure compliance, and pay your employees on time when you automate your expenses. And with a handy mobile app, your teams can work from anywhere while focusing on what matters most, the bottom line. Move your business forward with SAP Concur Solutions. Visit concur.com to learn more.
Hello, EggChasers.
What are you doing?
It's the EggChasers Rugby Podcast, the podcast about rugby that doesn't take itself or the game too seriously.
How dare you, Tim? How dare you?
I'm Tim with Phil.
Hello, Tim.
And hello, JB.
Hello, Tim.
How are you?
Well, violent now. I've heard that.
Triggered.
I feel like affecting domestic abuse now.
If only there was a woman in this room.
If only. Thank God there's not.
I'm offended you even
Thank God
joking
there's not.
about it.
Yeah. So the
What a clown world we're living in.
absolute clown world. It reminds me, right? So I have a friend of mine. She is a employment solicitor, and she sent me a list of. Let me see if I can find it for you. Have I still got it? Here we go. A list of words or a list of sayings which people are encouraged not to say in the workplace now because
the violent.
Because it's
I
violent.
saw this.
Are we going to pull the trigger? That's gone. I'll take a stab at it. Gone.
Seriously.
Jump the gun. Isn't that an athletics thing?
Jump the gun is an athletics thing, yeah.
Gone.
Yeah. Well, he's got a gun in the title, I guess.
I'll bite the bullet. Gone. Kill two birds with one stone. By the way, this is the best one. So there's like replacements
I know,
for it.
this one is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Instead of saying kill two birds with one stone, you've got to say...
I'll feed two birds with one scone. What's the deadline? That's deadline.
If your reaction...
What's the due dates? Come on.
There's a bunch of reactions, one of which to the Delilah thing was a lot of people going, they haven't banned it, they're just not getting the choir to sing it.
Shut up!
If your reaction to this Delilah story, and I don't believe anybody listening to this podcast, except for all the people we know who hate listen, and they listen even more than the people who listen normally. Hi guys, you know who you are.
Somebody said to me today, right, we were joking about what you'd feed chickens, and our friend Special Marine Matt said, I'd feed them the bones of my enemy. Right, that's a lot of enemies. Those are some big chickens. And I thought about it like... Who are my enemies? I thought, no, because they all have neck beards and zero protein content. They'd be terrible for animal feed.
If your reaction to this story was anything other than, what on earth are you doing, WRU? This is pathetic virtue signalling that is doing nothing for anybody. If your reaction was anything other than that, you need to have a little look give your head a wobble and have a look in the mirror. Which, fortunately, it's much like... I quite like the fact these stories are coming thick and fast, these sorts of things. We've got the tackle law, we've got this Delilah thing. They are all part of the same problem, and we are actually, for once, rather than seeing the silent minority just swallow it and think this is ridiculous and not say it, we're actually seeing the silent majority pipe up and go, what are you doing? This has gone too far.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
Which is quite nice to see occasionally.
It is nice to see occasionally. Because you always get the sense that I know more people agree with me on many issues than this, but it's just I just keep
it's fighting the fight, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can't carry on fighting. It's just so demoralising.
Yeah.
Like, which fight? I mean, I'm so obsessed with the tackle law that I don't think I've tweeted about anything else in rugby other than the tackle law, because that is my fight. People don't have the mental energy to say, do you know what, we need Delilah back. Why am I fighting this? Who cares?
You tweeted about some of the merits of some broadcasting of the Six Nations as well.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
We don't need to get into that straight away.
Let's get into that. That's a great idea.
All right. Well, so let's talk about it from the first round of Six Nations from a bird's eye point of view. What do you want to say about it? Thoughts?
Let's not go into broadcast. Do you want to? Let's just stick to Six Nations for now, right? So
we'll stick a little bookmark in that. We'll come back to that.
I loved the France game. I'm optimistic for England, and I think Wales are on a road to hell.
I'm more optimistic about Wales than you probably are.
Interesting.
Now, I think there's one key takeaway from the England and the Wales games, or the Ireland and the Scotland games, depending on what shirt you're wearing. You've got, in international rugby, you have to be clinical. And Scotland were clinical, England were not. Ireland were clinical, Wales were not.
Yes.
In that first half, Wales had genuinely four very good chances to score tries. They gifted Ireland 7 points by Bigger throwing a pass to James Lowe on one of those four. So that's a 14-point swing on that one alone. But there were three others. The bigger getting caught by Ringrose 5 yards from the line because Ringrose already slipped. It's kind of a 2-on-1. You've got Morgan getting held up over the line by Porter. And then in the last second of the first half, you've got Morgan going down the right-hand side with the break where maybe he should have held onto it, but he kicked in field and the ball gets dotted down and it's game over. Those four tries, one of which was a 14-point swing, even if they score one of the other ones and don't have that 14-point swing, they're right in that game. And that second half was 50-50. It was 6-1, half a dozen of the other. On the flip side, Ireland, they took those two chances in the first 10 minutes. You get the James Lowe intercept, and after 21 minutes, they're 24 points up, and it's game over.
More than that, I think you touched on something with, and at this level, of course, everyone's trying their hardest and they're putting their best foot forward, all the rest of it. But I will just say there's something about Ireland where they managed to pull an extra little 0.5%. They chase a lost cause, just that little bit. And that Andrew Porter holding up, that was a great example. But there's a bunch of examples through that game where sometimes you can't quantify it, and it's only a tiny little thing that you can't. It's just in the air, it's in the ether. But there's something about that Ireland team that just seem to do things and go to another level that other teams don't.
So I'm going to directly disagree with you now.
Okay.
In a way. So here is my take from Ireland. I found this really interesting. So I only really paid attention to the first half because I thought second half, Ireland don't really care that much. It's done, isn't it? By the end of the first half, it's done. And one of the things that made me think it's done was when the commentators said, and by the way, I watched this on sort of a replay, so I kind of knew what the score was. Didn't need to see much more than the first half. But the commentator said, on average, you need less than 8 penalties to win. Wales have just given away their 9th penalty. I think Sexton kicks it. I'm like, this is done. I know it's done anyway because of the score. One of the things that struck me about Ireland was that there's some of the ball carrying. I wouldn't say it's lazy, but they were very content not to be that aggressive. And let me explain what I mean. So, when you're taught to ball carry, you're coming on at pace, you move your feet a bit, you try and get over the game line. They were standing still. They were hitting closer to the ruck than they otherwise probably would do. And they seem to be very happy with not taking as much yardage as they possibly could. And I thought this was strange, but I thought, no, it's not that strange, is it? Because they are so confident in recycling the ball, and taking that extra step off means that they get their support there a lot quicker. So they're going over, they're getting their support, and actually, if you think you're going to hold the ball for 20 phases or 17 phases, the combination of all of those little bits and pieces makes hell of a difference. Whereas when you watch Wales doing their thing, they're fighting for every yard. They're going maybe a yard further on, and they're getting turned over. They're just completely frantic. They're going coast to coast. They're not patient. Ireland's performance, to me, and I think it sums it up with how calm they were with their carries, was just confident. It was confident. It was a bunch of professionals. They knew exactly what they were doing, and that's why they don't need to play like absolute maniacs continuously. But when it's on, it's on. And when they need to work hard, you are right, they do work hard. But I just thought, there's something in that with that carrying, because it's not the all out that you would expect.
When Ireland are manic, it's without the ball. That manic comes in when they don't have the ball.
On that carrying, so that's interesting, because I'd observed the other half of the equation on the carrying, and it was mentioned in comms a few times. And I think with what you said there, it kind of puts the two halves to make a whole. So in their pack, they have two types of carriers. They have the more athletic... Well, actually, look, let's go with the ones that you're describing, Jay. They have the bigger, heavier ones who could go like a battering ram, but exactly as you've described, they risk slowing things down ultimately, slowing down the recycling of the ball, and getting turned over if they go like a battering ram into two men.
Yep.
So they're more willing to hit the deck early,
to get faster ball. Early.
But the other side of it, the guys like Caelan Doris or Josh van der Fleer or Dan Sheehan's brilliant at it for a front row forward. The guys they're big lads, but they can put feet on. And they will have this, and this was mentioned in comms a few times, they will take it, not standing still, but they will always put feet on just to change the point of attack.
Yeah, they do that.
And then hit the gaps. So I think it's actually a deliberate tactical ploy to have certain forwards who will try and put that feet on and then accelerate through the gap they've created, and others who are just they are happy to hit the deck.
They almost angle back towards the ruck. Now, if you're coaching, I mean, obviously, when you're coaching international, I'm sure things are done slightly differently. But generally speaking, you coach carry out, fall out. So you're carrying away from the ruck and then falling away from the ruck in order to get that ball. I'm going to just dive straight. Well, they're big carriers. They're angling straight back in over and over again. Or, like Phil says, they do use feet. Actually, they do use feet going into carry. But that might be the only sort of orthodox thing which they're doing.
You've mentioned one thing that I quite liked about this Ireland performance, and you mentioned a couple of names already, but it wasn't nothing particularly bad, but some of the players that have been really prominent recently, like Tyg Byrne. What wasn't his greatest game? Same for Peter O'Mahony, some of the older players, but Sheehan, Doris, Keenan, some of those younger guys, class. Really, really good.
I thought Sheehan was brilliant.
Yeah. Well, they're just so comfortable.
And Doris as well, actually.
They're so comfortable in what they're doing.
Doris.
I mean, I think it's the structure that allows them to play with such freedom, which sounds ironic, but if you know what your constraints are and where all your mates are at all the time and what you're meant to be doing, you are able to play at pace and you are able to execute some fairly amazing things. That's basically where Ireland are. It's going to be interesting when they come up against a team that are going to metaphorically punch them in the face, turn over their ball, challenge them at the breakdown.
They haven't got to wait long for that.
Yeah, and then
next weekend,
then we're going to see a different side of this. I don't think they'll be carrying in the same manner. I don't think they'll be doing much in the same manner. So,
what do you think Warren Gatland's thinking right now?
There's some positives to take out of it. They played in the right areas a lot of the game. They got the upper hand for times late on in that first half and early on in that second half. But overall, it'd be incredibly frustrated with that. To be hammered like that at home.
I'd take Joe Hawkins if he was English. He looks
good.
A baller, doesn't he?
Yeah,
right.
Like Hawkins. Very much like Hawkins.
So, part of me is thinking, is Gatland looking at his team and thinking, they've not moved on quick enough. So Gatland always had a new young thing in all of the time. I wonder if he's just inherited this squad now, which basically was largely his old squad, but they've just not made enough changes. Gatland used to be ruthless at bringing lads in, blooding people who might not needed to be blooded yet. I always use the example of someone like, how was his name? Thomas Francis. But we've seen it loads of times, haven't we? He gave debuts to people like, was it Henry? No,
Josh Adams.
Yeah, Josh Adams would be one. Who was the winger that never made it?
Hallam Amos.
No, Hallam Amos was quite good. It was a winger. I can't remember. He played at Wasps, but he would try lads all of the time, and if they were good, they would stay.
I know the guy.
One cap or something.
Jonah Holmes.
No, not Jonah Holmes either.
Okay,
it was not Jonah Holmes. He played at Wasps for a season. He's dropped on the leagues. It doesn't matter. His career is largely irrelevant at this point.
Yeah,
except for some niche pub quizzes or something. I'm sure he was the youngest ever capped Welsh player on the wing. So they do have the young talent, and maybe they've just waited too long to blood it.
Has Gatland made an error because he still has some of the players he used to have, like you say, his dad's army. Which
there's quite a few of them.
They were referred to as a dad's army when Gatland was still in charge of them last time,
yeah.
And a lot of those players are still there. However, what's happened in Wales is, if it was possible, the domestic situation in Wales got even worse while he was away. So there have, unlike with France, and you've seen it with Ireland constantly, that production line, the system, the coaching, the investment, the infrastructure is all there. Wales have got none of that, and it's only, if anything, got worse.
And some of the players, probably many of the players, because of the WR funding links to the clubs, something like, I think I'm right in saying they still don't know if they're going to have contracts offered to them next season.
Yeah, you're right.
By the WRU and their clubs.
That the Welsh regions, some of them, like Ospreys, for example, are playing as well as they are. When a huge number of that squad will not know if they have a job next season is remarkable.
Ludicrous.
Yeah, I want the RFU to just burn the whole thing and start again. I think, broadly speaking, the same remedy would be appropriate for the WRU.
If anything, it's an even more urgent.
Yeah. Like, just replace it with anything, really.
Yeah.
It's hard. The senior players didn't do well in this game.
Let's talk about some players.
Tipperick, who wasn't there?
Tipperick limited, got replaced, I think, early in the second half. I thought Faletau had probably his worst game I've ever seen him, and I've seen him in a Bath shirt for many years. Actually, to be fair to him, he was normally class when he was fit for Bath. But yeah, he was almost totally anonymous in both attack and defence. I thought Liam Williams was class.
32 though? Must be 32,
yeah, he's
33.
not that old, Faletau.
I mean, he could be. Yeah, is he in his prime? Probably just a little bit.
Maybe he's on the
downside.
in the autumn.
Yeah.
So it's only a few months ago, but yeah.
Yeah, he's 32.
Yeah, Faletau is a sort of player that in the past has got Wales on the front foot on his own.
Yeah,
now, anyone who's got half a rugby brain, and I believe Farrell does indeed have half a rugby brain, would say, yeah, shut that guy down. The rest of it might be a lot easier. So it's not that surprising that they shackle Faletau early doors. I would.
That's a fair point. Jack Morgan looked good.
Yeah, he did look good.
Really like him. I thought Beard and Alan Wynne-Jones, Beard just too many silly infringements around the ruck and the maul. And actually, I think one of the big talking points for the weekend is the way that the ruck was being officiated. With the jackler, if they're not supporting their own body weight, if their hands are on the floor and their hands are taking body weight, they're in the wrong and they're getting penalised.
It wasn't Matt Colley. Matt Colley did France, didn't he?
Matt Colley did France. Carl Dixon did this game. And there was one from Adam Beard where he's the jackler, but his hands are not going on the ball. His hands are supporting his body weight past the ball. He then kind of props himself up and walks through the ruck. But he gets penalised because he's not supporting his body weight.
Rightly so.
And I thought, I've never seen that get penalised before. Not in that way, because he was very much on his feet. And he wasn't going for the ball. He was going over the ball.
If your hands touch the floor, you're in trouble.
So I completely agree with it. I think it was exactly the right call. And I'd actually like to see more of it in this dimension that we've seen this weekend. Because I think if you clear up that ruck area, there are a lot of injuries and a lot of just so the two things it would probably solve, or not solve, but help. One, injuries, because if the jackal is depowered, I'm not saying get rid of the jackal. If the jackal is depowered, or you've actually got a jackal within the laws, the existing laws of the game that are officiated, i.e. shoulders above hips and support your own body weight, I think that is both safer, but also you're going to get quicker ruck ball. And so it's going to allow more continuity for the attacking team, which is going to allow, if people want this kind of rugby, more attacking rugby.
Well, on that, I don't know if we want to talk about France just yet, but there's a lot to be spoke about the jackal and the lack of jackling which France implemented, because it nearly lost them the game.
Never bothering.
Yeah.
Is there anything more on Ireland, Wales at this point?
I thought...
only that, let's do France, then let's double back and talk about France-Ireland.
We'll talk about that, but just one thing I wanted to mention was Ringrose, who he didn't do that much going forward. He put in two amazing tackles, both actually on Dan Biggar, the one that I've referenced before.
When Dan Biggar butchered that try.
Yeah, with the try butchering, that was amazing, because Ringrose slips and Biggar kind of falters as well, and he gets across and hauls him down immediately. That was brilliant. But his second one was the rib tickler on Biggar. I think it was partway through the second half, where Biggar puts in a long wide pass and bang, exactly at the same time, the ball leaves his hand and Ringrose just hits him right in the ribs, right on the side. Beautiful, legal wrapped, right in the green zone. The
green zone.
Yeah.
Not for Dan Biggar, it wasn't.
Not for Dan Biggar's ribs. He will be feeling that in a few days.
I don't think Biggar had nearly his best game,
Biggar didn't have a great game. He had one beautiful chip and gather. Other than that, he was not his best. Did he play last week for Toulon?
Probably. That's what he gets paid for.
I would have thought so.
They'll probably throw him out midweek for the reserves.
Right.
Yes.
We're not talking about France now. We're talking about England and Scotland.
Okay. Go for it.
Because this is
Chronological.
Yeah, chronological, and in terms of interest, that would probably be that is the main
game.
interest for our audience.
I would say so. So, I'll kick off on this. I think England looked reasonably good. I think if I was an England fan now, I'd think, okay, yeah, we did lose to a settled Scottish team, but I think the foundations are there. I'm pretty upbeat about it.
The first thing I want to say, just in terms of overall thoughts, is a lot of the talk has been about how did England lose this. I actually think the focus should be put squarely on how did Scotland win this, because they won this game. I don't think England lost this game. I think Scotland won the game, and why I can't begrudge the result, why I'm not why I actually, in a way, just as a pure rugby fan, I quite like the result. It's a little bit why everyone wanted Italy. Everyone who wasn't French wanted Italy to win today. But again, what I really liked was Scotland rolled the dice.
Yeah.
And they had a go, and fortune favours the brave sometimes. And I quite like that the pragmatic conservatism. Whilst I'm not annoyed about that, I actually understand why Steve Borthwick set his team up like that. I'm not disappointed with it, but the pragmatic conservatism with a little bit of ambition got beaten by a team that just rolled the dice and had a crack, and I quite like that team came out on top.
Well, I don't think there's a team in world rugby whose personnel jar so badly with their coach as Scotland. I can't prove this, I don't know, but here's my inclination. I truly believe Gregor Townsend hates his key men. I really do. I really think he hates Finn Russell. I really think he hates Hogg.
Let the boys drink.
Yeah, I think he hates them because what are you going to tell those two? Are you going to tell them how to play? Because they're not going to listen.
Honestly, if you were head coach of Finn Russell, I mean this genuinely, I'm not saying this flippantly. If Finn Russell wanted to have a couple of beers the night before a game, I'd do what you want.
Yeah.
As long as you turn up and play, do whatever you want. You're an adult.
Yeah, so basically, what Finn Russell and Stuart Hogg tell everybody who knows anything about rugby is your head coach is completely disposable. And if your head coaching role is worth, say, 400k or whatever they pay to Townsend, I imagine it's close to that. I can't imagine it's not.
Yeah,
right?
Half as much as the chief exec.
Yeah. Would Scotland be able to perform as well without Gregor Townsend? I think undoubtedly yes. Undoubtedly yes. And now they've got this other guy in the mix of these just incredible idiot mavericks in Duan van der Merwe, who was unplayable. So you've got three of your best attacking players.
Captain South Africa.
Yeah.
He looked awesome, didn't he?
Yeah, you can't drop them. You can't tell them what to do. You've just got to show up at game day and just hope that they perform. Because if they don't, you're screwed.
Hope they're not too hungover.
Yeah. They're amazing players. And they're settled players.
That back line is... They've got so many attacking threats.
And Carl Steyn wasn't bad, but Darcy Graham's in that team, and they score another try down the right-hand touchline.
Yeah.
Carl Steyn was good.
Carl Steyn was good, but you're right. There's another try there. That centre partnership is ace.
Huey Palotu.
Love that. But I think you're exactly right to say Scotland went for it and rolled the dice. But they didn't just gamble.
No.
They played some pragmatic rugby, but when it was on, regardless of where it was on the pitch, be it receiving a kick just inside their own half, or playing out of their 22 when England have put one extra man back, if it's on, it's on. And they've got the personnel to do that.
Yeah, they look very good. I can't believe there's like a chance down the wing which they butchered. I couldn't believe that. It's between Steyn and Hogg.
Yeah, that was Carl Steyn. It was just a 2-on-1.
Yeah.
Catch the ball and you're good.
Absolutely dreadful. But other than that, it's a superb performance. The only thing I'd say about the Scotland performance is there's only so far that can get you. So there are teams that will be able to prevent Duan scoring his wonder try. There are teams that will be able to marshal the wizardry of Hogg and Russell. And at that point, that's when you need the more Englandy-like approach. That's what I think.
Well, that said, I'd say the back five of the scrum, front rows, I think both were...
They've got a very good front row, Scotland.
Yeah, it's all right. It's fine.
Very
good tight five. Scrummaging front row. Although I thought England got the better of the scrum, actually.
I was going to say England got the better of the scrum, which is why I didn't include that part of it. But the second rows, they've got a couple of big lumps, and their back row, I really liked. Even without Hamish Watson, I thought Luke Crosby, he puts it about.
Yeah.
He puts it about.
Decent. Very decent.
And Ferguson 26 or 27
great.
tackles is
Insane.
a shift. Every single one of the starting Scotland forwards made double figures in tackles.
Yeah. If you've not got your forwards doing that, you're not going to win anything.
Well, yes. So I think we've got. I think no Scotland fan could think that we have done anything other than shower praise where it is warranted.
However.
No, not however.
Oh, okay.
So I just wanted to
Damn.
I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't. Let's just post-mortem where England lost it, because that's
Scotland
disrespectful to Scotland, and they've won 5 out of 6 now.
I think it's 4 out of 6, but they drew 1.
They
so
drew
the last
1,
6 games against England,
they've only lost 1 game.
And the
They've
draw
only
was the
lost
best
one.
game of all time.
And they haven't lost at Twickenham.
Yeah.
They haven't lost at Twickenham in 5 years.
Years, yeah.
Amazing, isn't it? Absolutely amazing. England. So it's hard to put your finger on who played well for England. Okay, I think Ollie Chesham is going to be an absolute colossus for England. I think he's going to be in England great. I really do.
Yeah,
he
had some
monstrous.
He had some great moments when it just broke like I think Van Portfleet heartbreak, and he knows to be on the shoulder.
Yeah,
he got a couple of good galloping runs toward.
And there's 2 of them.
There's a
Lewis is bigger.
There's a third as well.
What?
Judging by, I saw a picture. So on Friday night, Ollie presented Lewis his under-20 shirt.
Yeah.
And then I saw a picture of Ollie and his mum and what could only be Ollie and Lewis's even younger brother.
Oh my!
It could not be anyone else. It had to be their younger brother who looked about 13 or 14.
Like mutant Weasley brothers from Harry Potter.
I wonder if they're going to turn into the English Tuolangis.
That'll be a little.
And actually, the biggest and the best of the Chesham should then go and play for Samoa as a thank you.
That's the title of the podcast, by the way. Mutant Weasleys.
I thought he had a good. I thought he did have a good game.
He was good.
There's him and Don Brandt. There's one.
Don't talk to me about Don Brandt.
One fluffed kick restart from each of them. I think it was.
Yes. So he was really good. Who else impressed me?
Genj always works hard and carries hard.
17 carries and a try.
I actually thought Ben Curry did well. I know he missed some tackles, but he did well.
So
So I was going to say Chesham and Ludlam. Very
Ludlam.
industrious.
Ludlam's a good point, actually. I thought Ludlam did very well.
And they were 2 of the players. I would say the 3 players when the team was announced who got the most kind of... I'm not sure about that one. Ludlam, Chesham, Malins. All 3.
Malins ace.
All 3.
Malins was ace.
Did well.
Malins is competence personified.
He glides when he runs.
Yeah. He doesn't make mistakes. He knows what he's doing. He's a competent player.
You do see it on the telly, but there is a perspective you get at Twickenham, as I was, and just the way he moves is, you know how Roger Federer just looks smooth when he moves. Yeah. Max Malins has got
Roger
that
Federer
quality.
Is a lovely comparison, right? Because I am certain that there are many wingers out there who are better physical specimens than Malins. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's an absolute world-class athlete.
His opposite number is one of them.
The 2 opposite numbers I imagine are... I certainly... Both of them are bigger and stronger.
And all the other 3 wingers on the pitch.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Federer was not the most gifted of... physically gifted of the tennis players. Doesn't mean he was not the most gifted tennis player. I think Malins is that class of player. Almost like a Ghetto on the wing. Not the most physically able, but just a brilliant operator. Yes.
Speaking of wingers' sizes, got to make this point. JB, your services are needed urgently.
Oh, okay. Yes.
I need you to hunt down and weigh Ollie Hassel-Collins and Duan van der Merwe.
Mate, I'm the man to do this.
You've never weighed a player in your life?
Hold on.
What's your weighing pedigree?
I haven't weighed a player. My pedigree on this is, and I'm very, very proud of this, Ollie Hassel-Collins, the first England international to come from my school.
Ah, nice.
You never weighed him, though.
St Bart's, a comprehensive school in Newbury, has an England international on its honours board, and I'm really chuffed about that. And I used to play with his dad, so I could call. we could do it firsthand. I could just call up my old teammate Neil and say, pick up your son, get on a video call on the podcast, pick him up. How much does he weigh?
Well, what I want to know is, so Duan and Ollie Hassel-Collins, so they're both listed at 6'4".
Are they?
And they're listed at 1 kilo difference.
No.
104 and 105. And I think that is... If they are the same height and weight, then there's something very different about the Duan height and weight to the Ollie Hassel-Collins height and weight.
So, maybe... maybe Ollie Hassel-Collins is 105 kilograms. So that sounds about right for a 6'4" man who, is built like he is, maybe. Duan's
he's
weight
so lean,
is way off. Unless, of course, he's a fungus or something. Unless he was spored.
Duan is just... He's so big and so strong and so quick.
Yeah. He is the player that PS Speaks was meant to be.
I wonder... no, it doesn't matter. I was going to say, I wonder if he juiced when he was a teenager back in South Africa.
Don't say that.
Let's not ask any questions about that.
Let's not. I don't mean it anyway.
He doesn't mean it.
He's awesome.
Call off your lawyers.
He's phenomenal. He's absolutely
Let's just enjoy it for what it is. However it happened, let's enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay. Let's deal with the elephant in the room when it comes to England. So firstly, a lot of the attention and focus, and I fell into JB's trap on WhatsApp. he was throwing bits of Farrell meat into the chat, knowing I'd bite at some point, and I ignored it.
It took me 12 hours to get in there.
I ignored it, and then
the mountain of meat was just piling up on there.
And then I had to chow down on some of it and defend Owen Farrell. But before we get to that, and players who some people think are past their sell-by date need to go or whatever, you do not get over 100 caps for your country unless you are an incredible player. But I don't blame any individual. It's not about blame. It's just about what I saw. Ben Youngs is... if you're not going to start him, and I don't think England should start him, what is the point?
Yeah,
agreed.
Oh, God, you're preaching to the converted.
Yeah. Van Portfleet's range of tools is just so great.
I thought he had a great game. Really good game.
Like, you watch his box kicking, and this guy's basically brand new to the international game. He just pounds that ball. He goes exactly where he wants with the length that he needs. He's just a better all-round player. There's no...
And his threat around the breakdown. Yeah. His threat around the breakdown is like Ben Youngs had when he'd have his 1 in 5 games 8 years ago.
Well, he had his 1 in 5 games against New Zealand coming off the bench when he was really good.
Yeah.
But yesterday was turgid and slow. No. And even to the point where the number of times and I watched it back again today, and the number of times, because I didn't see it with any comms or anything, so I watched that this morning, and the number of times that England forwards would be running onto the ball and they'd be arriving at the point where Jack Van Portfleet would have been giving it to them, but Ben Youngs was that little bit slower and they had to check their run, and it all went to pot.
Now, I do want to talk about that, because I think that's one of the England traps that Borthwick's not the only coach to fall into, and Eddie Jones isn't the only coach to fall into.
What would be the other trap?
So...
Kyle Sinclair being fly half more than any of the fly halves. Is that what you're talking about?
That is an England trap that he fell into. There's the Manu trap, which he avoided.
He did.
He did very well to dodge the Manu trap. Yeah. The other one being another facet that has taken many of the headlines, and that's the Smith-Faz trap.
Yeah. Go on.
Now, he went for that. Now... He's taken a lot of stick for it.
Yeah,
I think some of that is undeserved. I really do. Now, I'm not saying that Farrell had his best game, and I would highlight in particular his kicking, which was not good enough. No, frankly,
I was glad Scotland won by 6 points and not 3 or 4, because those conversions would have been
and there was 2. I'm going to call them system errors, but. One system error and 1 Farrell error in defence. And he put in a couple of good shots in defence, putting a good one on Hogg, good one on,
great one on Finn
Russell. But 2 errors, 1 for the Duan van der Merwe try, where he just didn't bother to pick him up, didn't bother to make a tackle. And the other was it led to the Hugh Jones try, is where Faz jumped out of the line to try and put a shot on Finn Russell, leaves a huge hole, and Hugh Jones waltzes through it.
Jumped out of the line to try and put on a huge shot is the story of his career. I hate saying it over and over. That is the story of his career. the charitable version of this is he's so desperate to lead that he puts the pressure on himself to do these sort of things, and they're stupid, and they're ill-disciplined and they're selfish. That's the bad version of it. Ill-disciplined and selfish. Good version of it is so desperate to lead. But he just keeps doing it. He's had over 100 caps now. Has he had over 100 caps?
102 now.
You'd think he would learn. So this is my contention with Farrell. Fly half, undeniable class. Best in the world? Probably not, but very, very good. Certainly one of the best. If you had like a top 3 ranking in every category, he's in the top 3 of every category, but he's not the top in any, probably. But they play him at 12. He must have had over 50 caps at 12. He just doesn't get it. Just does not get it. And I think his presence is not helpful to the other fly halves, with the exception of Ford, because Ford is an absolute professional. And his defence is just not up to it. It's not up to it. So it is if he's calm, but he's never calm.
If he's being picked there, that's other people doing that, not him.
You can't blame him. He's got to go. You can't say no.
So on that decision, so Steve Borthwick went with Smith Farrell. The word is, and I don't know whether they were saying this to make it seem to pump up the tyres of those individuals. I don't think that's the case, but the word coming out of the England camp was that was always the plan, even if Dan Kelly hadn't been injured.
No way.
I can see that.
Dan Kelly. I mean, this is. I was saying it half in jest, but there is a serious side to this. Dan Kelly is a guy with 2 England caps, mate.
Yeah.
Maybe. Mm-hmm. Dan Kelly's fit. Dan Kelly starts. So. I think we openly acknowledge that Farrell is not the world's best 12.
No.
I probably would play Dan Kelly with 2 caps ahead of him, despite everything that Farrell's done. So then, what do you do with Farrell? He's a captain. He has to play 10, doesn't he? He has to.
Well, I think
10.
he has to play 10 because he's the best, England's best 10.
I do not think George Ford is.
Oh, he's not fit at the moment.
But if George Ford is around,
Ford's around, well, I think there's enough. I think there's enough evidence to say that Ford Farrell does work. But we can come back to that another time. So just on this is the one question when people were saying, "Can't believe Steve Borthwick did Smith Farrell," and the question, and I know you only said it to me to get the rise, and it works. But my question to you is the same question I've posed to a bunch of people: is okay, who would you have put 12 then? And you get blank faces back, because this is an issue that England have. They do not have, and we've talked about it for years. When you look around the Premiership, what players are there? Piers O'Connor at Bristol. At one point, I thought he might have been the solution.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. But he's not kicked on in the same way you'd want him to.
Mark Atkinson, injured.
And 33.
I'm not fussed about that. If he's fit and playing, I'd
Seb Atkinson at Newcastle.
Yeah, you got Seb Atkinson and Lewis.
Newcastle Gloucester, sorry.
You got Seb Atkinson and Lewis Yanwu, who are just early in their career. Max Ajomo at Bath hasn't been getting in the team, but I really like.
Yeah, again,
Genius.
Very early in his career. If he gets a good run, he could push for it.
Is there any more English 12s other than Dan Kelly playing in the Premier? Ollie Devoto's been injured for ages.
Ollie Devoto is probably the most senior.
But we've not seen him in so long.
No, we haven't seen him in
Sale have got
two years.
3 of them, but even I wouldn't pick him.
Sale have got Manu, who's not really a 12, but has been playing 12.
Sam Hill, who's probably not going to be there next year. Sam James is 13.
Yeah.
Luke James started his career at 12. I mean, it'd be a brave... Luke James would do a great job, actually.
Now, just to go back.
He's not. You're not dropping him into international.
And so I think that has to be an important part of the context. Is that is dearth the right word where there isn't anything? There's a dearth of 12. There has been for a while. And if the IRFU were running English rugby and had the involvement that they have in their provinces as in Premiership clubs,
is he
they wouldn't have allowed Andre Esterhazen to be at one of the clubs. They wouldn't have allowed Orlando to be at Newcastle. They wouldn't have allowed, because they'd say, we have a massive issue in our national team at 12. We need English players in there to give them time. The fact is the Premiership is not incentivised to do that, and this is one of the issues with the Premiership, is that, there's no 12s, what do? We'll pay a massive South African.
They should have a bounty, shouldn't they? So the RFU should be able to have a bounty to add to your salary cap of, say,
Sam Burgess,
like 70 grand, right?
Yeah.
We need an inside centre. If you get an English qualified inside centre, you get an extra 70 grand on your salary cap.
Yeah. So so the Harlequins might go, do you know what? We like Andre Esterhazen, but we're going to give the spot to Lewis Anyanwu and invest the money, invest Andre Esterhazen's money somewhere else because there's extra. That's a great idea. I would do that.
My problem with this, right, is...
Oh, what have I done?
Ooh.
Oh, no, nothing. It's all right.
Is... The World Cup is around the corner,
yeah.
relatively speaking, around the corner. Okay? And you think that Farrell's your fly half. You must think that. You must think Farrell's the fly half. You can't think he's your 12. Right?
I agree.
Right.
So I think he is the first choice fly half. We also have the problem of he's the first or second choice inside centre.
So if he's your first choice 10, it means he's also your most important player. So if that is the case, you have to stick him at 10. And you're thinking now, okay, we get to World Cup final. He's the most important player. He's driving the team. What do we do at 12? And the answer is this is when you experiment. This is when you look around the squads. And if you have to go for something crazy, like a Luke James, or move someone like
Tommy Freeman. I think he could be a 12. I really do.
Yeah, that's when you do it. You do it now. Because your continuity, your most important combination is going to be your 9-10. Right? They need to play together all of the time. If the 12 isn't absolutely brilliant, I'm sure that Farrell has got enough quality, if we believe the hype, to guide him through the game. You only need someone serviceable. I mean, would you say that the Scottish 12s, the Scottish centres are that great?
Yeah, well, they're much better than England's. And this is what's odd when you look around. Like Warren Gatland, all the chat in the week was, which one of the 12s is he going to pick? Kieran Williams, Mason Grady, Joe Hawkins, or is he going to go with Nick Tompkins? He had 4 choices. Ireland, we don't have Robbie Henshaw. Which one's it going to be? Bundy Aki, Jamie Osborne, or Stuart
McCloskey?
Stuart McCloskey. Whereas England is like, Dan Kelly's injured. Oh well. We'll have to put our 10 there.
I like Porter. I know he's a 13, but Porter can bang. So you throw Porter in there, I think you've solved some problems. I'm disappointed with Steve Borthwick, actually, on this count. If he really believes in Farrell, he should have stuck him at 12. It's doing Farrell's reputation career no favours whatsoever. 0 favours. Get him at 10, and then we can see what he can do. We can run the game. We can do all the Farrell things, which have been so great for Saracens.
Oddly, and this is what I kind of compounded any frustration I might have felt with this, is Farrell was 10 more than Marcus Smith. Well, Kyle Sinclair was 10 more than either of them. But Owen Farrell was the first receiver, much more than Marcus Smith, and they were doing this out the back thing.
But that worked well. It worked all right at times.
I just would love to know the truth of the matter, because Marcus Smith is such a talent. Maybe Marcus Smith is what they're looking at, and they think Owen Farrell is undroppable because he's the captain. But
Phil has made this point many times on Marcus Smith, is that the time you get in the Premiership, whilst only fractionally greater than what you get at international level, is enough to negate a lot of what makes Marcus Smith very special.
Do you know what I think international rugby is about compared to, say, the top 14? So the top 14 has got so many incredible international players who no longer play international rugby. And the reason they don't is not because they're not good enough. It's because their skill set is known, right? Their highest limit is known, and that's why they're over in the top 14 making loads of cash. Because the thing which excites international coaches and the England crowd and every international crowd the most is the upside of players, like the potential of what they could be. And I think that's the problem with Marcus Smith. People look at him and they don't see the finished article. They see this thing which is going to be incredible just given enough time. International rugby is all about your potential upside. Once it's known, you go to France. Marcus Smith is still on that trajectory now, which is why I think he's still getting picked, because people believe he's going to be much better than he actually is currently.
The England centre problem, particularly inside centre, less so outside centre, but particularly inside centre, is why you've had guys like Shantae Happy or Ricky Flutie or
Sam
Brad
Burgess.
Barrett or Sam Burgess or Ben Teo.
Crikey.
Like these guys, or even guys like
Toby Flood played there.
Flood played there, yeah. Eastman played there. Eastman's an incredibly talented player, but it's someone who's brought in from outside of the game to fill that, outside the rugby union game to fill that hole.
Do you think Pete Lucock's listening to this shouting, "What about me"?
Why not?
Why not?
Why not?
Get me Pete Lucock on the phone now.
It's such a problem. I was thinking about this problem, and I don't know how am I crazy in thinking that the lack of the historic. I don't think the game is the same at junior level these days, or I don't think as much as the same. But historically, England forwards that played in England at junior level, well, it was about pushing and hitting hard. It wasn't about skills. It wasn't about Kyle Sinclair standing at 10. So guys who had learnt the forward skill set but were not quite big enough to make it as forwards but were still talented players had no option. They could never move out to the backs because they never had that skill set. Whereas in other places, maybe Australia, New Zealand, if you've got that handling skill set...
That's a great shout, Phil.
You could do it.
That is such a great point.
And so guys like... two great. And the reason I was thinking about it was, I said in jest, Ben Earl or Sam Simmons could make an amazing inside centre for England. They've got exactly the right physical attributes. And if their hands were... And they're not big guys. It's astonishing they actually made it to the level they have, in the position they have, being the size that they are. That shows how talented they are. But had they got converted to a centre, say, age 12 or age 40, like a reverse Alfie Barbary, they could have been international centres. But they never had quite the skill set to do it.
I think you've genuinely, I think you've absolutely nailed it. I think you have nailed it.
You know, there is one guy who none of us have mentioned who would have been the answer to England's 12 problem.
Jonathan Beardmore.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if I am EPQ actually. I mean, not yet represented Wales.
Not yet.
Other than Wales deaf side.
Wales deaf side.
Yeah, Wales deaf side, of course. I mean, that's capital.
Non-capture team, yeah.
There is one guy who was the future and just fizzled out for him. He's still playing. And I do believe if he followed...
Piers Francis.
Nope.
No.
If he followed through with his...
There's another one brought in from outside.
Ryan Mills.
Oh, Ryan Mills, I wish. Nope. But Ryan Mills could have been the boy.
Yeah, injuries.
Balancing the needs of your business and your employees has never been more important. Do both with Concur Expense. Speed up your finance processes, ensure compliance, and pay your employees on time when you automate your expenses. And with a handy mobile app, your teams can work from anywhere while focusing on what matters most, the bottom line. Move your business forward with SAP Concur Solutions. Visit concur.com to learn more.
So when I'll say it's so obvious, and you think, God, that guy
could have been the solution to all our problems. I'm trying to think.
Still playing probably on a lot of money, actually.
Still playing in England?
Nope. It's about 27.
Oh, I know who you're going to say.
You know.
I know who you're going to say. Dad's a coach, Sale in Northampton. Malander.
Oh, Harry Malander. We talked about him a lot. And that's why I say Tommy Freeman. I see the same thing with Tommy Freeman as I did with Harry Malander.
And Geordie Barrett, who I think has a lot of crossover with Harry Malander, particularly. And with both Chris Boyd and the fullback and 12 and play a bit
so
of wing.
true, JB, that as well.
I think his best position, and I think his best chance of starting for the All Blacks is probably going to be 12. And he's got all of the skills to do
What is Harry Malander doing right now?
I'm just about to
He's in
find
Japan,
this
isn't he?
Yeah, he's in Japan, but is he playing?
26 years old.
Is he only 26?
Get him back. Get him back.
And he plays for...
Photocopier company.
That's a great point. You two have made fantastic points. Phil's particularly, and I want
Black Rams, Tokyo.
Is he actually? Their season isn't. They're not in season now, are they?
Do you know how many points he's scored and how many appearances that he's made for the Black Rams?
0.
Correct.
Are you on Ultimate Rugby again?
No, I'm on Wikipedia.
I'd take that with a pinch of salt.
That's as much a pinch of salt.
But he's, according to this profile, he's bigger and heavier than Duan van Merwe.
Get him back.
Wait.
Duan van Merwe is definitely more than 105 kg.
Wait for this. In July 2021, it was confirmed Malander had left Northampton to pursue playing opportunity in Japan, not yet played. Northampton have the option for him to return ahead of the 23-24 season.
Interesting. So that'll be after this current World Cup, but ahead of the next one.
Well, I mean, if he finishes the season, just get back in the country. Mind you, 0 appearances doesn't sound good, does it?
No, it doesn't sound good.
If that's Wikipedia, I'd take it with a pinch of salt. But also, he had some horrendous knee issues.
But I love that you've explained a specific problem with a cultural long solution, and I think. And maybe that's why it will change moving forward, but we're just in a period now where it's
so entrenched historically, and it will take some time to flush through. Whether it does or not, I don't know. But it's such a weird thing that it's such a niche position. Like England produced some very talented fly halves, 13s, wingers, fullbacks, back rows, historically locks and front rows, but just that the half a dozen or more in the last 10 years international 12s that we've had to bring in from other countries. It's such a weird issue.
Just on locks, as you mentioned, when was the last time Maro Itoje was the Maro Itoje that was world class?
Great question, because he wasn't in this game. He did very, very little. He's a nuisance at times, but he had a poor game.
Would I'm not saying make changes necessarily, but would I'd prefer Dave Ribbons than Maro Itoje.
Yeah, I thought he had a bad game.
He didn't have his best game. Again, it's one of those things, isn't it? You play Maro Itoje because he might just have, he might just play 6 out of 10 for Maro Itoje, and that'd be crikey. That's a video of Harry Mulliner kicking the ball.
But Alex Donbrandt didn't have a great game. Jamie George was kind of average, missed a few darts a couple of times.
Yeah, Scotland put pressure on England's line out. They targeted that.
They very much did.
I thought, I don't know, JB or Tim, both of you line out forwards. I thought Scotland were quite smart. I think their first two out of their first three over the top. Yeah, I thought that was interesting. Just to totally throw England's jumpers off.
So there are some amazing statistics about Leicester Tigers line-outs, how successful they are from mauls, how successful they are from launches. I don't have them off the top of my head, but go back and read Johnny Morgan's pieces in the Telegraph. He waxes lyrical about the Steve Borthwick line-outs, and he's got a point because they're amazing. But that didn't seem to come to fruition.
It was the other way round this week.
Yeah. And maybe it's not enough time with the team. Maybe there's.
That is a context. They've had limited time. Scotland had limited time, and but the one that I was most disappointed. You've already said you thought he played okay. The one that I was disappointed didn't have a good game because the Ben Curry story of seeing being ahead of his brother, getting injured,
Argentina.
and then his brother going on to become this world class loose forward, 45 caps, which equates to about £1 million in match fees alone, let alone in endorsements.
Over £1 million of gross earnings.
And his genetically identical twin has to sit and watch, and he's never complained. He's just got on with playing very well for Sale. He got an opportunity and he didn't have a great game.
Well,
I think it's. So I've watched the game back today when I was on the bike, and I think it's fair to say it was a mixed bag for Ben Curry.
Yeah.
He made a couple of good tackles. He missed a couple of easy tackles. He actually...
The Ben White try.
The Ben White try was horrendous.
Criminal.
He missed a couple of relatively easy ones on Doohan as well, where Doohan had been half stopped, and then he should just be completing the tackle. He also put in a couple of good hits on Doohan. I think he actually got lucky twice. He came in from the side of a ruck. Nowhere near through the gate, came in the side like that, cleared out and secured the ruck. Should have been 2 penalties against him and 2 penalties against England. Just slightly lazy and rushing things. But he got away with those. So that works
I
in his
hope he
favour.
gets another chance because I like the story.
I'm certainly will.
Yeah.
I'm certainly will. And here's the thing, right? If you ask any player in Sale, and I have done this multiple times, well, not recently, I've not been there recently, but certainly last year or the year before, you say, who is the best player at Sale? They will all say Ben Curry. And you go, what about Tom Curry? Oh, yeah, actually him. Actually, he's really good too. But the first answer they always give is Ben Curry. It takes some prompting for them to come up with Tom Curry. It's not that they don't think.
Is there
great.
another Curry?
Yeah, but that's the guy that they see all the time. I really do strongly think that Eddie Jones was just messing around with Ben Curry. I don't know why. I just have it in my head that this guy has lost a lot of money and a lot of career opportunities because of the messing around of Eddie Jones. I don't think there's a real good argument to exclude him for as long as they have. Particularly if Tom Curry's not around. There's just there's just not really that much difference. Tom Curry's kicked on because he's in an elite environment around better players with much experience.
He's a slightly different, ball carrier, physical. He's slightly different shape and player now.
He is.
Curry.
Look, obviously Ben Curry could have done the same conditioning as Tom.
Yeah.
But the ball carrying came largely from the fact that they decided, right, we're going to play Ben at 8. Tom at 8. If they played Ben at 8, I'm sure the same thing would have happened.
Yeah. And Ben has had a couple of bad injuries, hasn't he?
Yes.
Which is, I think he is a bit leaner than Tom. Tom is
Tom's
more
huge.
muscular now.
He's absolutely massive.
He's an enormous man. He is an enormous man.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you swap them around. Tom Curry's playing the same games as Ben week in, week out for his club, whereas Ben is being pampered at bloody, the
Penny Hill Park.
I reckon the opposite happens. I'm sure of it. Oh, absolutely sure. So I would like to see Ben Curry back. I do not like necessarily getting rid of players because they make mistakes. So
yeah.
Like Don Brandt did not have a good game, but Don Brandt's a great player.
Persevere. We know he's great. Persevere.
He's just not as good as Earl. I would have gone with Earl.
But he's also a lot bigger than Earl, and that does count for something.
Doesn't play like a big man though, does he?
Oh, so he doesn't, but it gets him. He gets away with more because those lines that he runs, which are intelligent lines, but because he's 100, I don't know what he is, 115 kg.
He must be bigger than that.
He gets away with it. Now, it also works against him because towards the end of the first half and not necessarily towards the end of the second half, he was looking a bit tired. So his conditioning needs some work.
Ben Earl probably runs just as good a lines. He's faster. He's more powerful. He's not as overall strong.
He looked
powerful.
good when he came on, didn't he?
Yeah.
Ben Earl's class. Ben Earl's your boy. He doesn't make mistakes. He's like the back row Malins. I mean, obviously, they've gone everywhere together. That's what he is. I mean, I'm pretty sure that Ben Earl will probably win the CrossFit Games if he put his mind to it. He's that kind of athlete.
He really could. I'd love to see England 6-2 split with both Ben Earl and Sam Simmons coming off the bench for the last 20-25 minutes.
Nightmares.
and
that
what
would
Steve
be
Borthwick did,
horrendous for tired bodies.
What Steve Borthwick did with only a small lead, so England were 20 points to 12 up. And you shouldn't lose from there.
At home. You should not lose.
But even when they were only a point up or a few points up, I can't remember what it was, he brought on Ezekwe on the flank. And that and the Young's selections, to me, it was like...
I wonder if he's trying to fix the line-out.
Possibly.
Possibly.
It felt there was all the talk about in the week that maybe Nick Ezekwe will play 6. So I think that was premeditated that's where Ezekwe was going to come on.
I don't actually remember Ezekwe playing much for Saracens this year.
He's been injured a lot.
With any notable success at all.
I just didn't like the. I just thought it's part of the whole slowing it up thing. I like Ben Earl looked great when he came on, but they But hey, it's Monday morning quarterback.
I'm certain England are going to be okay. I did think that they looked more dangerous in the Borthwick than they did under Jones. I think they'll be fine. I think. Yeah, I'm not sure there's that much to worry about.
The most worrying thing, although Borthwick referenced it in his press conference and said it takes time, was the defence. And
he talked about a new system, didn't he?
Yeah, and obviously you've got a new defensive coach in
I'm going to ask a stupid question. How many systems are there?
Well, so let me just mention one thing that I noticed, which is a system error, and I referred to the Faz shooting up to try and hit Finn Russell. That's maybe part of a system error, but England's defence was very soft for a lot of that game. We've seen England's defence be very hard, and England's defence was soft. We noticed Faz rush out so much because Marcus Smith on one side of him and Marchant on the other side of him were both very soft, not accelerating off the line. So when Faz accelerates, it creates the dogleg. The other time that happened, that system error, was for the Douan second try, where Malins realises there's I think it might have been 3-on-1, so he shoots to try and take, it might have been Kinghorn at that point in time, but the whole of the rest of the defence is drifting. So with him shooting, it then creates space outside him when the pass is given. If he holds and stays soft and drifts with everyone else,
the touchline is the extra defender.
Yeah, and also now I'm not saying you would stop Douan from there, but if he drifts instead of shoots, he makes contact with Douan just inside the 22. So the first contact is made with him 20 yards from the line instead of 8 yards from the line. No one with the best will in the world is stopping Douan from 8 yards from the line when he's got a full head of steam like that. You make the first tackle when he's not going at full pelts 20 yards from the line, you might just bring him down.
So I've got two thoughts. No, I've got one thought and one question. So first thought is, I've just been sort of mulling this over as you've been talking, Phil. Are defence gurus true gurus? Like, do they know all of the defensive systems? or do they just know their defensive?
one?
Yeah, is that the thing? Like, so they come in, right, this is my system. I've been working on this for 20 years. This is what we're playing. Or do they come with a range of systems?
Or is it the same system that everyone uses and they just give it different names to create the...
Okay, so we've got guard and bodyguard. Okay, wolf and lion.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, wolves and lions.
Totally different to guards
Completely
and
different
Completely
concept.
different.
Yeah.
It's good. If there was ever one defence coach who knows all of the possible mechanisms, it would be Steve Borthwick.
Yes,
because obviously he was a defence coach.
Yeah,
and he was at Saracens. And who's he worked with? Gustard.
The only time we've ever seen something really different than the norm is like when London Irish had out to in under Toby Booth, when they just would fly their wingers in to smash.
It was way before Toby Booth.
There was
way before
that approach, the winger leading the line speed.
Oh yeah, you're right. It was
Gatland and Sean Edwards did that
at Wasps.
Wasps.
Yeah, maybe it was Wasps first.
No, it was London Irish because Charlie Hodgson unpicked them by throwing the ball over the top. It was a wonderful thing.
The treble miss.
Yeah, just off it goes. That was my passing noise.
But those two examples were bad, and England's 30 or so missed tackles obviously are bad. But the defensive drift, I think the backline were more, from what I've seen twice now, they were more operating under that drift or soft defence. It worked really well at times, like particularly the Farrell hit on Finn Russell, the big hit, was exactly from that drift. Let them, because that was where Tuipulotu took it right to the line, then pulls it back to Finn Russell, and England just held off. You can take it right to the line, hold off, and then when Finn Russell is running out of space, bang, Faz nailed him. Turnover, kick the ball 50 yards downfield, wonder try from Duard.
The other question, the question I had, which I didn't ask, I'm going to throw it out to you boys now. Is there any 12 who's ever had success rushing out the line? 12. Who, if you think of all the 12s in rugby now, in top class international, who is the one that you think that guy is ace when he rushes out of the line?
So it can only ever work as part of a system.
Yeah,
when I
used to play at Bath University, a former Wales A player, Iestyn Lewis, he was our coach, and he was a 12, and we had a system where one player flew and the rest of the line followed in a line. So it was always one player had licence to go and smash the ball carrier.
Well, you sometimes do it with the 9 or the 7 off the back of a line out, for example.
So that's a very precise question. The reason it's so precise is because I can think of 2 13s that do it instinctively outside of the system, and they're amazing at it. Lacan Oam, Chris Harris. So, and I know that they're not trained to do it because, well, I don't know about Lacan Oam.
You've asked Chris Harris.
Yeah, well, I know
Mark
about Chris Harris
Atkinson.
because Mark Atkinson will tell you. Like, he just gets himself in these situations that you think he's complete no man's land, and before you know it, he's wasted someone. And he's done that in the Lions, done that internationally. So that is an example of someone who can read the game beautifully, rush off up the line, not in the system, and absolutely leather people.
The one, and I can't think of any specific examples of this, and it's going back a long time, might be Scott Gibbs.
Maybe.
From 12 picking off some big hits. But yeah, I don't know why, but I think that 13's...
It lends itself, doesn't it?
It's easier to do it because the ball's got more time to travel to the 13. So if the ball, it's got that extra... It's only that extra second, but as a 13, you've got that extra second to read, whereas 12, it's often the big runners coming onto you.
Yeah, I think at 12 you need to be disciplined. At the 13 channel, they say it's the hardest channel to defend, but you're looking around. If you're good at reading eyes and eyeballs and, another word for eyes,
eyelids,
eyebrows,
eyelashes,
all those things. If you're really good at that, you can pick that pass.
Cornea.
Yeah, you can see people coming.
I want to hear that. Like, so talk to us about that try-saving tackle you made. Yeah, I just read his cornea.
Corneas were all over the show. The guy with the most dilated pupils is getting the ball. So
I beat him with my iris.
So there is definitely 13s that do it. I just don't think you can do it at 12.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I tend to agree with that, and we saw it to bad effect for that Hugh Jones break, which led to the Hugh Jones.
We can
try.
come back round to what we'll do, but we should just jump to France Italy.
Yes,
that was
best game of the weekend.
Fantastic match.
Oh, made me some money as well. That's the most important thing.
What was the betting? What was the betting? What did you do?
So, what happened is I was watching the game and I thought, Italy looked good here. There's no two ways about it. Italy looked good. Despite what the comms were saying. The comms were all over the show for this game. Like, completely all
I'll
over
tell you
the
what,
show.
let's touch on that briefly first then, because you wanted to put a little bookmark in it and come back to it. The broadcasters, go on.
Okay, I don't want to mention names. It's not fair. I don't think anyone broadcasting doesn't try the hardest. I don't think that. I just don't think we need people on TV doing so-called analysis who have not played in the competition. I just don't think it's necessary. I don't know how you comment on what the change rooms are like. Six Nations is not just a rugby tournament. It's a historic event. It's got, 100 years of history or something? It's got a lot of history.
Those fixtures are 120, 130, 140 years old.
Yeah.
So you're talking about people that played before you. You're talking about the experiences of when you played and what it meant to the players that had previously retired. There's lots of Six Nations. It's not just rugby. So I don't think it's good enough that we just get someone who knows something about the ruck or the maul.
Well, I would say there's two sides to the same coin. So let's say you don't also don't give someone a job or keep giving someone a job just
because they've been there.
They've been there.
Yeah.
Everyone will probably know who I'm referring to with that, but I don't need to say names.
No, because they don't mean to do a bad job. They don't mean to be an entertaining or an informative, but sometimes they just are. So today it's a very difficult one, particularly France versus Italy, because I don't believe anybody has really watched outside of Benjamin Kaiser, who was a great shout in this game.
He is a great pundit for any game.
Yeah. I don't believe that anyone's watched a second of French rugby or Italian rugby. I just don't lie to me. I know you haven't, right? I know you haven't because I know what you do on the weekends. I listen to you every week. So you've not done that. But then to have people who've never played the tournament at all commentating on it just doesn't really. Not commentating. The commentator is an art in itself. The reporting is an art, and the presenters is an art. The analyst,
the analyst.
Okay. You need 15 players to play a game. We've got we've got decades and decades of fixtures. Don't tell me the right person isn't out there. Just work harder to find the right person.
Well, it's the right person.
Oh, that kind of right person. Yes, I'm with you. I just don't care. I just don't care what they think. And also, they were getting things wrong with this game. Constantly getting things wrong, constantly saying things which just weren't true. Anybody with half a rugby brain could look at this and go, yeah, okay, France is good with the ball in hand. That doesn't mean that Italy are not good with the ball in hand. It doesn't mean Italy have suddenly done better because they have the ball. Italy are doing well because they're bloody good with the ball. They were better than France with the ball. They kept on saying, oh, France's stingy defence. Why? Because before the game you decided that Sean Edwards is involved and therefore we've got to say stingy defence all the time. France's defence was shocking. Absolutely shocking. There was not one real good phase of defence that they had in the whole game because, as far as I'm concerned, every time Italy went into the 22, they scored points. France were 3 tries up and they were still conceding points. They weren't conceding points, they were conceding penalties. It's not good enough. They had no jackal threat whatsoever, so I think they're going to have to look at their back row selection. Whether they can square that circle and get threats from somewhere else, I don't know.
Well, normally Marchand does that.
Well, that's what they said in comms.
And Dante. And
I disagree.
I genuinely wonder if that was having seen the 2 games on Saturday, and it was being refereed differently. There was support for the attacking team and less support from the referees for
Matt
the
Carley,
jackal.
I thought was brilliant.
He's a good referee.
Sean Edwards does not agree.
Okay, well, Sean Edwards is wrong. Matt Carley is absolutely spot on. And if Sean Edwards doesn't agree, he needs to adjust what he's doing to make sure Matt Carley does agree, because that's his job. So, on Matt Carley, he was giving penalties, and I thought, oof, I wouldn't have given that. But you look at it, he's right. He's absolutely right. He's consistent, he's pernickety, he's detail orientated. He probably doesn't referee to the spirit of the law, but he gets the letter of the law. Absolutely spot on. There was one where the French jumped over the line, and this is the line out, sorry. So they jump over the line, land on the Italian side, and the Italians lose the ball because all of their movement is disrupted. I would have just let that play on. But immediately, penalty. That's a hard penalty to give There were a couple of others, like the extra roll when France were going forward. That's a hard penalty to give because nobody wants to see it. But he's right. He's right on all accounts there. So I thought he had a really good game. He was right about hands on the floor when Malvaca went to steal.
Yeah, you can't argue with the decisions. I guess, a lot of referees would have gone, that's not really materially affecting the game. I'll let it crack on.
Yeah.
If it has no effect on the game, I'm totally with you. Crack on. It's where it does have an effect on the game.
And it may have done in those cases, yeah.
There's a good example, actually, of the player jumping across the line, the lifted player jumping across the line from the Wales-Ireland game. Wales had a 5-metre line out, and James Ryan jumps up and across, steals the ball from, I can't remember if it was Beard or Alan Wynne-Jones, goes up, and he didn't get called. And he actually lands, through, on the outside of the Welsh line out. So he jumped up and across, lands on there, wins the ball, and gets away with it.
Yeah, so I was watching this. So it doesn't often happen at our low level, but occasionally teams do use movement. So there's one team in particular, when we were playing them, they were throwing to the front. We stole all their ball. So they started, and they started moving. They had another line out where they just sort of moved to the back. But they had a front pod. Now, after seeing that, the clever thing to do would be to throw, dummy throw, but then throw your jumper into that line
jump.
out.
You can't dummy throw, but dummy jump, yeah.
Sorry, what did I say? Dummy throw. Sorry.
Yeah.
So feint the jump, and then throw your jumper into their line out so the returning pod can't get a clean jump on the second guy. That's what we should do, and that's what we will do from now on.
Nah.
So, it makes a lot of sense. France had no jackal threat. It's worth dwelling on this because the Italians ran the ball really well, but there's no one to stop them on the ground. And if you've got no one to stop them on the ground, you can be the best bunch of defenders in the world. But eventually you will tire, and that's why the Italians were able to get so much ground, almost at will. And their attacking shape, it reminded me of Bristol, when Bristol were good. They just would form up, people were looping around, they were coming into different channels. I thought Italy looked very, very good for what they did for significant periods of time.
It's great to see.
It really is. And Italy, they obviously beat Wales last year, they beat Australia last year. They beat a very good Samoa team.
Yeah,
they hammered. They put 50 points on a very good Samoa team. They've JB, your beloved Benetton they're current holders and indefinite, in perpetuity holders of the Rainbow Cup.
Yep.
They are improving. Now it's not to say that they're going to put any real dint on the World Cup, but they are on an upward trajectory.
I love that Brex,
the Argentine Italian.
They've got a few players I like. The younger Canoni at number 8, I like him. I like Fischetti, the loose head prop, like him.
Yeah. The winger.
And Ange Capuozzo, obviously.
Yeah. That back three's that back three's awesome.
Yeah. A few things I want to point out about Italy. They are lunatics. So I didn't really understand what they were doing. And this is good analysis, actually. This is actual good analysis. So I thought... And Commons picked it up. They went, Commons didn't understand the match. Commons didn't really understand what was happening. They said that Varney did not have enough protection when he box kicked that first try away. So that's effectively what he did, didn't he? He box kicked
and Lamont.
Yeah,
and Flamont, not Lamont.
Yeah, and I thought that's wrong. That's wrong because look at what Varney does. He's not waiting for his protection. The easiest thing in the world is just to wait there and get a caterpillar ruck. So whatever it is, that's on Varney. It's not on the protection because he's made that decision. Mm-hmm. So then you've got to ask yourself, why on earth is Varney doing this? And do you hear what they said at half-time?
No.
Immediately O'Driscoll, he's done that because they know from analysis that DuPont doesn't sweep around the back. So they think the space is literally there. So they've got to form the ruck, chip it over. And I couldn't work it out for the first half. They just kept on going to the same space over and over again. And if you watch rugby in the Premiership... you hardly ever see a scrum half box kicking without his protection. But Varney was doing it pretty much every other phase. The other thing which I thought was wild was some of their exits. So,
if they'd have got their exits right, they wouldn't have conceded the first 3 tries. 2 of the first 3 tries.
These aren't hard, right?
Yeah.
So you receive your ball and you play back towards the touchline. Yeah. Because you don't want to give a penalty or turn the ball over in front of your sticks. Why might that be? Why might that be not advantageous? Italy don't care. So if you're just attacking from anywhere, by all means, fling it across the sticks because what else are you going to do? But if your intention is to clear your lines, do not fling it across your sticks. There is no advantage. I could tell you that. I could tell you that. Nobody has paid me hundreds of thousands of pounds, and I can tell you that. And yet, that's what they did.
That's what I remember was always just the rule when you were when you were a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so basic. And yet they did it. And then, towards the second half, they did something weird as well. So, sorry, towards the end of the first half, they're playing nicely, and all of a sudden, Alan drops into the pocket and decides to be pragmatic, and they nearly concede the try. And again, it just makes no sense what they are doing. But the only reason I think this game was close is because of the lack of French tackling threat. And frankly, France were very, very wasteful with their... well, were they? They got 4 tries in the end, so they weren't that wasteful. But they certainly weren't scoring at the rate that
they could have
Italy
scored more.
Yeah.
They definitely could have scored more. That Pierre Bruno exit, where he kind of starts running, then thinks about kicking, then starts running again, and then thinks about kicking, and then by the time he's decided he's going to do one of those two things, he's been caught, turnover, try. And he almost did that in the second half as well. He kind of did the show and go, and was like, oh no, not again, please.
Yeah, I tell you another bit about this game which didn't really make much sense to me. If the French are, maybe it's linked, you tell me, but if the French are not competing at the breakdown, and they're fanning out to get some line speed and smashing people, why are Italy's back 5 carriers, as in 2 second rows in the back row, are they actually just that good at running ball into contact? Because they looked superb to me. Or is it because they're getting quick ball and the French line speed, even though the fanning out just isn't there? I don't know which one it is.
I think that speed, it compounds it, doesn't it? If you don't compete, you're not slowing down the ball, and if Italy are wanting to play fast, then...
But on the other hand, the whole point of not competing is just to get off the line, isn't it?
So
just
you get in position faster.
Yeah, just that focus. So I don't know if they called it wrong. I don't know what the disconnect is there. But there certainly is some disconnect because Italy made them look weak. And you think about the top... that's another thing as well. Did France look like a top 14 team to you? They didn't look like one to me.
They looked enormous in the pack.
Yeah.
But actually, Italy's scrum was good at times.
It was very good, yeah. Right.
Considering they were giving away... Someone said 60 kg.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is it, and this maybe this comes to your point about the second row and the back 5 as ball carriers looking good. Is Italy would have approached that game, and it's their first match, so it's not like we have to back change the technique. They've been able to the whole time they're in camp. They're going, it's France. They go, you're not going to beat France in an arm wrestle. You need to make those big lumps. You need to make Weenie Antonio move. Make Paul Willems move. And if that was what they had in mind, they executed that really well, almost perfectly.
Yeah, they
would
have
been.
They were really good.
If they'd have won, that would have been fantastic.
Can I tell you about my betting?
Yes.
So watch this game. Italy go down, but despite what comms are saying, Italy are moving the ball nicely. And I'm thinking there are some points here. So I think Italy go down by 7 points. Was that right?
Yeah.
7 points. Put on a fiver for Italy to win. They go down some more. I think this is worth an extra £2.50. So on it goes. I'm now in for 60 quid for my 50 and then 75 for my £2.50. I'm thinking, yeah, good. And then I think France go up a little bit more, but Italy start creeping back into it. Then the yellow card occurred. So I'm thinking, well, I've got a cash out option now. They're not ahead, but they are 1 point behind. So there's a good chance by the end of the yellow card, no matter what happens, I'm cashing out. They go ahead, and I'm thinking, okay, yellow card, cash out. Withdrew my money, about 40 quid in total, and immediately put £5 on France to win because I'm looking at the French bench and like, Olivon's coming back on. They've got a low,
got Italy, a bit of weight coming off the bench.
Yeah, Italy are bringing on a second row from Van. The rest of the French pack are about to come on and be absolutely dominant. And just like that, Jaminet? Nope. Jalibert scores. Yeah. Think, yeah, there you go. Cheers. Thanks, Coral.
Nice.
Cheers.
So how much were you up for the day?
From £7.50, I think I won £55.
Nice. Very nice.
And also I got the score for... I didn't get score, but I got the handicap for Ireland right. Handicap for Scotland wrong. I had Scotland by 8. That'll teach me. But you know what they say? When the fun stops, stop.
They definitely do say that.
They do say that. Yeah.
But you're having fun.
I'm having so much fun.
So keep blowing the cash.
Great weekend of rugby. It's good.
Fixtures next week.
Yeah.
So a potential series decider. The first game of the weekend.
Wonderful.
Next weekend, 2:15 on Saturday. There's no. I'm right in saying there's no Friday night games this year.
Is that right?
I'm sure I read that somewhere. Which is not.
DJ Spoonie is devastated. He's not getting used at Cardiff.
I do. I quite like it. It's not good atmosphere.
Delilah ready to go. Yeah,
I do quite like it. Having the Friday. My favourite time is the 8 o'clock French kickoff. Saturday night, 8 o'clock.
Yeah, agreed.
Watch it. No phone. Couple of beers to myself. Very much enjoy that. But we're not getting that this week. So we've got Ireland hosting France.
What a game.
Now, if you were just to pick on the performance in the last game relative to the strength of their opponents, you'd probably make a comfortable argument that Ireland would win. But I don't think it'll be quite that comfortable. I think France will improve a little bit. They'll learn something from the mistakes, maybe around the jackal.
They have to.
Maybe around the defensive line, maybe in a few areas, maybe around how the refs are going to referee the game. So, JB, what are you saying?
Well, judging on this week's performance, I'd say Ireland are going to comfortably do it. But here's the thing. I think Ireland will not have it all their own way. And when they don't, what happens to all that well-oiled competence which they've instilled into their team? I don't think it goes quite their way. France are massive still. France just were not impressive enough for me. They just were not impressive enough. But I'm with you, it's going to be a different France team. And I think France are going to do it.
I think Ireland, but I think it will be very, very close. I think it'll be Ireland grinding it out. My concern for Ireland would be Ty Furlong.
My concern for Ireland.
Although, don't you think Finlay Beelum looks like? Do you remember Techno Viking?
No,
I don't remember.
Oh
Techno
yes,
Viking.
Of course you know Techno Viking.
Do I?
YouTube sensation Techno Viking.
Don't forget. You two share a YouTube channel
algorithm
on the EggChasers. Now it does. I actually have access to that. Every time I log into YouTube, it says, "Do you want to log in as Philip Largan or EggChasers Rugby Podcast?" And I always take the. Is that the blue pill, not the red pill?
Yes.
I take the blue pill.
Oh, mate, come and join us down the rabbit hole. It's much more fun.
So I don't know techno.
Come and watch some. Well, actually, you got Trent and Heath, shoe repairers.
Nice.
Oh yeah,
I would watch a bit of that.
I love watching shoe repair.
JB with his dry dock boat.
Nice.
Yep.
Boat stuff, and then a load of red pill stuff as
well. Yeah, give me Ireland just. But this is a coin toss for me.
Agreed.
I agree, which is why Ireland have beaten South Africa at home. They've beaten New Zealand at home. I think they will be so fired up for this one. I'm going to go Ireland narrowly, and I've kind of changed because I was thinking Ireland are not going to win every game. I think they might win the Grand Slam now. If they win this, the Grand Slam's on.
It's on.
So I was thinking France are going to do them in Dublin, but I have changed.
Interesting.
Next game, 5:15. Scotland host Wales.
Scotland by 20 points probably.
Is this a repeat? Did we have this like the home and away fixtures the other way around last year, where Scotland beat England and then lost to Wales after Wales were very poor?
It would be so Scotland to lose to Wales again. I don't think they will.
Let me just look that up. Who those games were?
Yeah, it was because Ireland smashed Wales by I think Wales only got 6 points or something ridiculous.
Yeah, Ireland. So Ireland beat Wales 29-7 in the first round last year, and Scotland beat England 20 points to 17. Ben White try again.
Good old Ben White.
And then, and in the repeat of last year's matches, France put 37 points on Italy. But
here's a fact for you.
Then Wales beat Scotland.
Yeah, exactly.
20 points to 17.
Here's a fact for you on Ben White. Yesterday was the first Six Nations game since 2013 when Greg Laidlaw or Ali Price haven't been involved.
Yeah, I saw that. That is remarkable. Ben White's looked good. He played well all game.
My amazing
and he
last
took his try very well.
Didn't want him. Amazing, isn't it? They just let him go. He signed for Irish.
They got Ben Youngs.
Yeah, true. I mean, I'm sure they could get Ben White and Van Portfleet 2 years ago for a fraction of the cost.
Oh, a fraction of the cost
Youngs.
of Ben Youngs. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Nuts.
Absolutely. And in the France, obviously because they won the Grand Slam, won the repeat of this last year, 30 points to 24. So then the final game. So are we all saying Scotland?
Yep.
Yes. And then England host Italy on the Sunday, 3 o'clock on the Sunday.
You've got to be mad not to say
Italy.
I don't know where I'm going to watch this because I'm. Don't forget, everyone's going to be tuning into the BT Sport coverage of the Premiership Rugby Cup semi-final with George Ford. England's future 10 playing.
Well, George Ford played, and Sale lost to.
They got
hammered
they got pumped by Bristol. Yeah,
even with Rafi Quirk was playing.
Yep.
George Ford.
Yep.
Woodward was playing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Still got pumped, but it's Exeter v Sale. So I'm gonna have to watch that game somewhere. I don't know how. I'm gonna have to listen to England Italy somewhere on the M5.
That's not always that bad. Listening somewhere on the M5, somewhere above the UK, above England in the Cocker Jet.
Yeah.
Spirit of Cocker.
Spirit of Cocker.
Yeah. In fact, can you get your yacht docked down in Exeter, JB?
I'll give it a go. It doesn't travel that fast.
It's not quite
ready yet.
Ready.
England are going to be fine, and I think they'll. I actually think they'll pump Italy. I don't know why. I just get a sense they're going to win by 30.
Yeah.
It's the kind of game that England always seem to perform really well in.
Yeah, it's odd.
They look all the combination because they've got that extra bit of time, so all the combinations look fantastic under ordinary circumstances. Maybe not this year.
And Italy, they put so much into that game, backing it up.
They did.
Backing it up, I'm not sure. That's where they're at yet. They've got great performances in them, but it's the backing it up week on week that's so hard to do.
Very much so.
So I'm going to go for England by 21.
I think that's about right.
Yeah. Take it.
Ireland by 3, Scotland by 7, England by 21.
So for me, I think France.
France.
But that's kind of more hope than expectation. People keep asking me, like, who do you support, Wales or England? I'm like, neither. France. I can't quite explain my distaste for the WRU at all. Now the RFU.
I've got I stayed with my nephew on Friday night, and as soon as I got in the car, he came to pick me up from the train station. As soon as I got in the car, he was like, "What channel's the rugby on?" He's 6. What channel's the rugby on? It's like, why aren't BT Sport playing the Bristol v Sale? So I ended up finding YouTube on YouTube on his telly, the under-20s England v Scotland, and he was happy then. But oh my god, like he knows everything about every player. He knows everything. So he's 6.
Does he know how heavy Sam Simmons is?
Oh, he hasn't got into that yet. But,
some of my finest work.
It's like it's cool. It's cool.
That is awesome because they're like sponges at that kind of age as well, aren't they?
My mum says I was exactly the same with regards to rugby. Just would watch it all the time. Whereas, although the reason I was going to say that is because the team of 14, 15-year-olds I coached, like I asked them who watches the rugby, and like a handful of them went, "Yeah, I watched some Six Nations."
No one watches it. Nobody watches.
There's so many boys playing but not watching. Yeah. They watch football. I don't know if that's. I imagine it's slightly different in the southwest, but up in Manchester, no one actually watches rugby.
No.
So people know that I like rugby. People who know me know, but they don't really know much about rugby, right? So here's a text that I got from a friend of mine. So I actually caught some rugby on TV today, totally by chance. I feel like the Six Nations is a regular thing, ? Anyway, bad luck Wales. That's the one I saw.
Wow.
Very good.
Wow. Yeah.
On that bombshell.
On that bombshell.
On that bombshell. Six Nations is a regular
you said you had
thing.
a question you wanted to ask me.
Oh, yeah.
On the pod?
Oh, yeah, I wanted to know who deadlifts the most in the Cocker household, because this sounds like it's a ferocious competition now.
How did you come by asking that question?
I was flicking through Instagram, because I like watching lifting. I don't know, I really enjoy watching lifting. and your lovely lady wife was there lifting 145 kilograms.
Wow.
And I'm like, hang on a minute.
Fair
Tim
play.
can't be doing much more than this.
I'm not. I'm not. So I have lifted 180, but I'm not lifting that at the minute. Deadlift like 160, 165,
You must be
170 tops at the minute.
So I understand. So I know all the cocker statistics. So I believe Kate's on 145.
Yeah.
Mm.
Louis on about 120.
Louis is around what he's done 130, but because I want him to keep the form, I won't let him try and lift too heavy.
The youngest cocker is on 75, looking for 90 this year.
Wow.
You're under some big heat there, Tim.
Yeah.
How are you going to look your family in the eyes if people start overtaking you?
Well, generally, it's a fact of life, isn't it? And certainly with Louis, I can definitely see that kind of the sort of law of the jungle, alpha male, one declining, another one rising, and there is a point when we sometimes go and do a park run together. I'm still a couple of minutes ahead of him, but the gap is
slowly just
closing,
quit.
and it won't be long because he's 15 now. Give it another, and
he's rangy as well.
Yeah, give it another. I reckon year and a half, and I reckon he'll be lifting more, and maybe by 17.
If I was in your situation, I'd be on gear. I'm not leaving anything to chance.
Well, his testosterone levels, 15 will be through the roof.
Yeah.
You can't compete with that, Tim.
No.
Well, he can.
Well, yeah, you can't naturally compete with that.
In America, it's massive at the minute. Testosterone replacement therapy is huge.
Of course it is.
Like, how do you get that in the UK? How do you get that? Do you have to pay for it privately, I guess?
There's certain gyms in Salford and...
No.
Deepest, darkest Salford.
I like the medical one. No, genuinely, it's meant to be quite good for you.
Same shit.
It's like HRT, like female hormone replacement therapy.
That's one of the reasons that it's good to lift weights in general, because it boosts your testosterone.
It is strange, isn't it, how frowned upon steroids are. Because obviously you're cheating this and the other. But no one ever goes, hang on a minute, you've got 2 sacks of silicone in your chest. I mean, that's okay, is it? That's okay, but somehow steroids are, frowned upon? Oh, hang on,
and in CrossFit, there are a lot of sacks of silicone.
Yeah. Oh, hang on.
More than the average population.
What's that needle for? Is that testosterone? Oh, no, it's lip filler. It's lip filler. Completely normal. Steroids are still completely frowned upon. I think you should go for it if that's what you want to do.
Juice it up.
I'm encouraging you to do steroids. So you're going to do steroids next week then, Tim?
Anabolic, if it's administered by a medical professional.
No, do it yourself. When have you been such a coward? Well, look where doctors got us in the past.
JB, do you know how you can do this in a slightly more surreptitious manner?
Oh, in his tea?
No.
Oh.
Start Googling. YouTubing.
Oh, yeah.
YouTubing.
Fix my algorithm.
Yeah.
That's right.
Get on YouTube.
I wonder what I can make Tim do by fixing his algorithm.
I just remember you said that if you go to some dodgy sites and one of us ends up getting a knock on the door, getting arrested, you've just incriminated yourself.
Oh.
Right. Thank you very much for listening. If you appreciate the content, hit subscribe, tell a mate. Go to patreon.com/EggChasers for more. Let the boys play.
Boys play.
Nice.
In this new, flexible world of work, we're all looking for ways to work better, smarter, and faster. With SAP Concur Solutions, you can automate your travel, expenses, and invoices into one connected workflow for an easy way to manage company costs. See every penny of spending, even before it's spent, and keep the process moving with handy apps, so your team can work from anywhere. Move your business forward with SAP Concur Solutions. Visit concur.com to learn more.